Hi everybody, it's Tia. Let's see, it's Monday, and I am just sitting here waiting for my son to get done with therapy. And this is something that's been going through my mind for several days now. I've been meaning to make a video about it. I want to talk about the herd immunity theory. It's something that is actually based on a concept back in the 1930s, which is true herd immunity. Again, a theory that when you have a certain number of individuals in a population group who have contracted a disease, let's say, for example, the measles, since that's the one they like to bring up all the time to scare everybody. So you say you have a population, a small town somewhere that the measles has run through the town, and I think it's something like 60% of the population has caught through naturally acquired the wild measles virus and overcome it. Then it is said that population group has what is called herd immunity. Now, this term has been stolen by the pharmaceutical industry and applied to the concept of vaccination. What you need to understand about that is that there is no such thing as true herd immunity when it comes to vaccines, because vaccines do not actually provide immunity at all. All they do is stimulate or trigger an antibody response, which may or may not provide protection for the person vaccinated against that disease which they are vaccinated for. And we know for certain that vaccines fail. They fail frequently, and that outbreaks often occur in fully vaccinated populations. So the concept of herd immunity, it really does not apply. It doesn't work, okay? However, if you get into these arguments, which I try to stay out of, but if you get into these little conversations back and forth with people on the internet, they bring up herd immunity like it is a gospel fact that if a certain percentage of people are vaccinated, that everybody's safe. It's hogwash. It's not true. But I wanted to point out a couple of problems, a couple of flaws with their argument. So one of the things that they say, and by the way, one of the things that they say is that we must have herd immunity in order to protect those who are unable to receive vaccinations. And if you ask them, well, who would that be? Well, it's children who are too young to receive vaccinations, and the elderly, and people who are medically fragile. But I have a problem with that, because you see, when exactly is that too young? Because we're vaccinating babies the day that they're born. So to tell me that we need herd immunity because we have to protect children who are too young to be vaccinated, that argument fails. We're vaccinating babies the day they are born. So when exactly is too young? When exactly is too young to vaccinate? When they're in the womb? Wrong again, because we're vaccinating pregnant women with the flu vaccine and the Tdap vaccine, which have never been tested for safety in pregnant women. So when is too young? When is too young? Well, what about the elderly? I just ran into a neighbor at the grocery store in her 90s, and she was, used to be out and about, walking around the neighborhood, doing gardening and all that kind of stuff, and she looked like a skeleton, okay? She was so frail. One eye, like this, drooped, like she couldn't, like she had brain injury, okay? And I'm talking to her, and she's asking about my son, and I said, oh, he just turned 10, he's getting big. Oh, so he's outgrown that disability of his. No, he hasn't outgrown it. You don't outgrow autism. I said, but luckily for him, he only had a few vaccines, so he's actually doing really well compared to some of the other kids. And I said to her, and I took her by the arm, and I said, don't you let them give you a flu vaccine, because they are definitely pushing flu vaccines on the elderly. Oh, she said, I have to get my flu vaccine. I have to get my flu vaccine. Oh my God. So when is too old? When is too old? When they're in their 90s and you're telling them that they will die if they don't get a flu vaccine? That's when it's too old? Wrong again. We're vaccinating our elderly until they're dead, okay? And then the medically fragile, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the story. Well, so-and-so is very, very immune compromised, so therefore we must vaccinate him because you can't take a chance at him catching a disease like pneumonia or the flu and dying. So this garbage about we must have herd immunity in order to protect those that are too young, too old, or medically fragile, it's a lie. Because those are the people that they are vaccinating, okay? There's nobody that the doctors will say is too young, too old, or too medically fragile to vaccinate. They are so indoctrinated, they are so brainwashed that they would love to just vaccinate everybody. And listen, we can get to 100% vaccination and there will still be outbreaks because vaccines fail. They do not work. Vaccines do not work, okay? They fail. So we could have 100% vaccination rates and we would still have outbreaks, and they would use those outbreaks to push more booster shots because it's waning immunity. No, it's not waning immunity. It never provided immunity in the first place. So the next time somebody tells you that we must vaccinate the herd so that we can protect those that are unable to get vaccinated, just ask them, who exactly are you talking about that's not able to be vaccinated? Well, there's my son. I gotta go, you guys. Bye.